In an age that has been dominated by figures like Mr. Beast, it's hard to believe that not long ago, the highest earning person on YouTube for years was a literal child, pulling in just shy of $30 million a year at their peak, as well as launching their own toy line. Ryan's Toy Review, later rebranded as simply Ryan's World, was one of the most successful YouTube channels to date, despite constantly receiving criticism from people worried about Ryan being exploited for his parents' profit.
If we combine this with the fact that their channel has somewhat of a schedule and uploads almost daily, we can almost be certain that there are days where Ryan doesn't feel like making the content and would have to be somewhat forced by his parents in order to appear in the videos, which would be an element of the channel's dark side.
Eventually, the inevitable happened. Ryan started growing up, and now the whole world is being quietly shut down around him, and the people closing it aren't the—
Like, I can get, like, making your kid work every single day. But making your kid work for money and it not being for character building and value building, what the fuck, dude? Absolutely disgusting. I don't even care if it's like money for his future. We're putting the money away for his future. You're still destroying his childhood, and then all he's gonna remember is how much he had to work.
Critics, it's his own parents. Not only are views down exponentially, his most recent movie bombed, and it seems like he's being pushed out of the limelight and replaced by his sisters. Hi, I'm the Internet Anarchist. I create weekly YouTube documentaries, and today we're breaking down the apocalypse of the Ryan's World empire. When Ryan's Toy Review launched in 2015, there wasn't much separating it from countless other family videos being uploaded to YouTube every day. Ryan was only a few years old, and the premise was incredibly simple. His mother would take him to a store, let him choose a toy, and then film him opening it at home. The videos were unscripted, short, and centered around the genuine excitement any young child would have after getting something new. Then, one video completely changed everything. A video featuring Ryan opening a giant Lightning McQueen egg exploded in popularity, eventually reaching well over 1 billion views. Overnight, the family realized there was an audience unlike anything they could have imagined. The upload schedule immediately changed. Instead of casually uploading every week or two,
oh fuck, we're gonna make a shit ton of money, better destroy this child's life and dreams of being filthy fucking rich.
Of videos began appearing every month. The videos themselves became shorter, allowing more uploads with less editing, but the overall amount of filming increased dramatically. What started as a family hobby was quickly turning into a full-time operation. The gamble paid off. Within a year, Ryan's channel had become one of YouTube's fastest growing creators. Millions of subscribers poured in, while billions of views accumulated across the channel.
Gotta keep going, gotta keep grinding, can't fall off, you lose everything.
He's recognized something even more valuable than the audience itself. Ryan had become one of the most influential children in the world. Before long, Ryan wasn't just reviewing toys anymore. He had his own toys sitting on store shelves. Then came books, clothing, toothpaste, backpacks, television shows, mobile games.
It's about the fun, it's not about the money, guys.
Educational products, and nearly every kind of merchandise imaginable. Ryan's face had become an international brand. The family eventually created their own production company, employing dozens of people dedicated almost entirely to producing Ryan's content. By almost every financial measure.
And one of the weirdest things is, I know a few people who used to watch Ryan's toy reviews and Ryan's World. Most of them were children. Some of them were adults who didn't have children. That shit's fucking weird. They were not my friends. I just knew that of them because, once again, I lived in a small town, so it was easy to know basically everybody. And there were people in the early days of people hopping on YouTube that were watching all kinds of weird shit.
It was one of the greatest success stories YouTube had ever produced. For several consecutive years, Forbes listed Ryan among the highest earning creators on the entire platform, often putting him at #1. From a business perspective, it was brilliant. From an ethical perspective, people began asking hard questions.
By the way, speaking of watching weird shit, the friend that I always talk about, the friend that I talked about earlier that is into shonen, and shits on my tasted anime because I don't like shonen very much. He used to watch the NPC streamers. It's so fucking weird, man. I got sidetracked. Okay, let's go.
As Ryan's popularity exploded, public curiosity naturally shifted towards the people running the business behind him. Viewers wanted to know who Ryan's parents really were, and how much of the empire they actually controlled. That attention intensified in 2019, after news outlets uncovered details about Ryan's mother's past, including a years-old shoplifting conviction that predated the YouTube channel by more than a decade. In all honesty, this was the one thing about Ryan's parents that was blown way out of proportion, and really should not have become the massive news story that it became. There are thousands of things you can criticize Ryan's parents for, but hyper-focusing on some decades-old incident just—
Bro, if I get famous, I'm so fucked, because I have a shoplifting charge. I have trespassing charges. What other charges do I have? Is that it? A bunch of failure to pay fines? Fuck, I don't know. The things that I didn't get caught for is really what I'd get canceled for, like breaking into a hair salon and stealing $20 worth of quarters and bought weed with it. That happened. Oh, I stole a pair of sunglasses too in that incident. That was crazy. That was a crazy situation.
Just seems silly. When it comes to
let's see. What else can I expose right now that'll get me canceled? I stole a bunch of Xbox 360 games and an Xbox 360 and sold it thinking that it belonged to my brother's girlfriend, wife, and when they fucked me over, which was no excuse. Shouldn't have done it, but that is why I did it. Turns out she lied to me. It was not hers. It was the accumulation of games from all of the children in the neighborhood. That was a fucked situation.
Children entertainers, the media loves to be hyperfixated on the lives of those entertainers to see if they have a squeaky clean record, and this is fair to a certain extent. You wouldn't want a convicted PDF file being the guy that entertains your kids, but since the dawn of time, some parents have taken it too far. For example, back in 1991, the actor for Pee-wee Herman, Paul Rubens, was caught with his Pee-wee out in a theater and arrested. This wasn't because he was creeping on kids or anything. Back in the day, going to theaters like this was just what a lot of people did in order to get their fix in. Keep in mind, this is pre-PH, so it was a lot more common than one might think. Despite this, a lot of hysterical mothers blew this into a massive controversy that got the actor taken off air briefly afterwards.
I could imagine. It was basically like Steve from Blue's Clues before Blue's Clues, and then this shit happens. Could you imagine if Steve from Blue's Clues did that? How fucked that situation would be?
It wasn't until the Free Pee-wee protests in LA that his position was reinstated. All of this is to say that there are legitimate grievances with Ryan's parents that we will be covering, but
I used to watch the Pee-wee Herman show
on Adult Swim whenever it started coming on Adult Swim. I had no idea. And I thought it was an adult show when I was watching it. I was kind of young. I was probably like, I don't know, 12, 13. But I thought it was an adult show when I was watching it. It had some tones to it. Some weird, creepy, trippy tones, like acid trip.
This one in particular stands out to me as not really that big of a deal. Anyway, the main concern eventually became whether the adults responsible for one of the world's biggest child brands were making decisions based primarily on Ryan's well-being or on the incredible amount of money surrounding him. Ryan's parents pushed back against those concerns during interviews, insisting that Ryan always came first. They explained they avoided filming moments where he was upset or embarrassed, and maintained they would stop making videos if he ever decided he no longer enjoyed participating. Those statements sounded reasonable.
Yeah, but then there's the obligation the kid thinks that he has for his family to keep it going, and you're like, the family might know that the kid doesn't want to do it, but they're like, hey, if you don't want to do this, let me know. We don't have to do this. And the kid be like, no, I really want to do this. And they're like, okay, are you sure? And then they keep it going, when really they should have shut it the fuck down.
The problem was that the business kept getting bigger. By this point, walking away no longer meant simply deleting a YouTube channel. It meant disrupting a company built around one child. Then, another controversy emerged that had nothing to do with Ryan personally, but everything to do with the audience watching him. Every creator I cover controls how they look and how they sound. Nobody can control how they smell. Fragrance is the one part of your presentation you can't edit in post. Scentbird is a fragrance subscription I've been personally using for the past couple of years.
I wasn't looking at the screen. I thought he was about to say that Ryan stinks.
With over 900 designer and niche scents, you get to pick from the selection every month and receive an 8ml vial at your door. Each one of these bad boys contains about 120 sprays, a full 30-day supply. So you're not committing to a $300 bottle that you're going to regret in a week. This month, I have Modern Gentleman by Joseph Abboud, Sharp and Classic, Oro Verde by House of Beau, which is clean and green, Mellow Mood by Marley Fragrance, which is smooth and relaxed, good for evenings, and Better Than Your Ex by Confessions of a Rebel, which is bold with an edge. To get the most from your fragrance, make sure you spray your pulse points, your inner wrists, and behind your ears, because your body heat helps project it all day. If you want to be smelling as good as me right now, use code ANARCHIST3 for 55% off your first month. Your first fragrance is $8.97, and the next month is $17.
Bro, this is some Girls Gone Wild ass music, right?
$95. Scan the QR code or use the link below. With that being said, let's get back into the video. Consumer advocacy groups filed complaints arguing that Ryan's videos blurred the line between entertainment and advertising. The concern centered on sponsored products appearing inside content designed primarily for preschool-aged children. Adults can usually recognize when they're being advertised to. Young children often cannot. Instead, they simply see another child enjoying a toy and naturally want it themselves. The timing couldn't have been worse. That same year, Google and YouTube agreed to pay a record-breaking $170 million settlement over violations of the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, commonly known as COPPA. The settlement forced significant changes to how children's content operated on the platform, and marked one of the biggest regulatory actions YouTube has ever faced. Around this period, the channel quietly changed its name from Ryan's Toys Review to Ryan's World. At some point, Ryan's World stopped being about documenting a child's excitement and started becoming a machine that needed to keep running. Whether people liked the content or not, it was difficult to argue that he looked anything other than genuinely excited. Years later, that excitement became much harder to find. Instead of introducing random toys, the videos increasingly revolved around Ryan's own products.
It's like trying to hold the same interest. You build something off of an interest that you have, and then you try and maintain that interest for years and years and years while you're growing up, and your interests change. Like, that's gotta be fucking rough, man.
Mystery eggs, action figures, board games, slime kits, educational toys, costumes, and dozens of other items carrying the Ryan's World branding became regular features. Not only that, but as Ryan was growing up, it seemed the light was starting to leave his eyes. How excited can one be for toys if they've reviewed thousands of them? Instead of the energetic child from the early years, they saw someone who looked like he was repeating lines and trying to recreate emotions that came naturally when he was 4 years old. No one outside the family knows what Ryan was actually thinking during those videos. It's impossible to say whether he wanted to continue filming or whether he simply accepted it as part of everyday life. Ryan has spent almost his entire life in front of cameras. Unlike child actors, whose work is separated from home by movie sets and production schedules, Ryan's childhood was the production schedule. Home and work became almost impossible to separate. For most children, growing up means experimenting with different hobbies, making mistakes, changing interests, and slowly figuring out—
Bro's not gonna have normal friends. Whenever you're somebody like that, you're a figure like that, and parents will try and latch on to you, the child, because they think that they could get something out of you. And that's so fucked up, man. It's like they want their children to be friends with your child so they can benefit
out who they are away from their parents.
Not saying that happened. I'm saying that that is a thing that happens, and like so many other things like that definitely did happen. And Bro could not have regular friends. That was definitely true.
Did all of that while millions of strangers watched. Every awkward phase, every changing interest, and every year of his childhood became part of an online brand that could never stop moving. Eventually, Ryan reached an age where the original concept simply stopped making sense. A 13-year-old pretending to be amazed by preschool toys is fundamentally different from a 3-year-old genuinely discovering them for the first time. This has been reflected in their metrics, and the numbers are nowhere near where they once were. At its peak, individual uploads regularly reached tens of millions of views, with some passing the billion-view mark. Today, they can sometimes barely crack 100k views, and viewership data shows a steady decline compared to the heights the channel had once reached.
But honestly, that's so many people, though. It's not just because he got older and, like, interests changed and the vibes changed. That's just happening all around to everybody.
The problem is that the business surrounding Ryan was built for preschoolers. During interviews, his parents explained that Ryan's audience is still largely made up of young children between the ages of 5 and 8. At the same time, Ryan himself is getting older and developing.
Yeah, I bet his audience is full of those children because parents remember Ryan was like, oh, your brother used to watch this show. It's like they know that's a thing that's relaxing and is not going to freak the child out and is not going to totally rot his brain, so they turn that on. It's like the next phase of Coco Melon Kid.
Developing completely different interests. That creates a problem with no perfect solution. If Ryan fully grows with his audience, the existing business risks losing the young children who made it successful. If the channel continues targeting preschoolers, Ryan has to keep participating in content designed for kids much younger than himself. Neither option is ideal. Interestingly, the family's own plans suggest they understand this. Rather than depending entirely on Ryan forever, they have started expanding the brand in a different direction. Ryan's younger twin sisters, Emma and Kate, have become increasingly visible within the Ryan's World universe. They now appear in their own animated projects, promotional material, and merchandise aimed at the same demographic Ryan originally attracted. The brand no longer needs.
I'm surprised Ryan turned out as well as he did, but these girls are gonna fucking suck. Especially whenever they grow up. Holy shit, dude.
Ryan in every project because it has begun creating characters and personalities capable of carrying the audience forward without him. That became even more apparent in 2024 with the release of Ryan's World the movie. The film received a limited theatrical release before arriving on streaming. Looking at any reviews of it show that people think it was essentially a glorified advertisement to sell Ryan's World toys. Financially speaking, it was a box office stink bomb, not even reaching $1 million. There have also been claims circulating online that the movie cost around $10 million to produce. Regardless of the exact numbers, the film clearly failed to become the breakout success that many
With that, you should have just made a movie that you wanted to make. Holy shit, instead of a marketing campaign.
Expected from one of YouTube's biggest franchises. That failure is significant because it highlights something much larger. Ryan's World isn't just competing against other YouTube channels anymore. It's competing against established entertainment companies with decades of experience producing movies, television, and children's programming. Building a successful YouTube
And he's also competing with his older content that people are still going back to.
Channel is one thing. Turning that success into a lasting entertainment franchise is something entirely different. For years, Ryan's World looked unstoppable. Now, for the first time, it looks vulnerable. Not because Ryan failed, but because the business model was always built around a child who was eventually going to grow up.
Also,
and
the
children
algorithms changed.
always grow up. If this story ended with Ryan simply growing up, it would.
The children's interests over time change. Not even like one child aging. I'm talking about culturally. The children of today, their interests are different than 10 years ago, than 20 years ago. Like, when I was a kid, I was into WWE figures and, like, Mad Balls and Power Rangers and shit like that. And 10 years later, kids were wanting, like, junk, like the silly bands and shit like that. I mean, there were still kids playing with toys, but kids were moving into the digital age, and they stopped playing with as many toys. I was not in the digital age at all, man. I had physical toys in front of me and all around me, and I had to worry about having them all picked up, put in the toy box in the closet.
Would not be nearly as bad. The real issue is that Ryan became the face of an industry before anyone had figured out how to protect children working in it. For decades, child actors have been protected by labor laws that require portions of their earnings to be placed.
A big reason I know it's changed, by the way, is I live with children. There are children that live with me. There is a child that is 4 years old and a child that is 10 years old. Let me tell you, the 10-year-old and all of the 10-year-old's friends don't really care about toys. And I've lived with him for about 2 years now. He has not cared about toys. He watches movies and television shows. It does the whole... He watches, you know, streaming services and plays video games. But he doesn't play with toys. I mean, I played with toys. I had, like, guns and stuff when I was 10. Fake guns, obviously. I had a couple real guns, but those weren't toys.
Placed into protected trust accounts. These rules exist because history has shown that children are often the last people to benefit financially from their own success. The internet changed everything. When Ryan's channel launched in 2015, there were almost no laws addressing children making content on social media. Family vloggers, child influencers, and YouTube families were operating in a legal grey area. Parents could build businesses around their children without many of the regulations that existed in television or film. Ryan wasn't the only child creator working under those conditions. He was simply the biggest. Over the past few years, several states have introduced laws specifically designed to protect child influencers. Illinois became the first state to require parents who profit from their children's online content to set aside a percentage of those earnings for the child.
Right? Yeah. No, we're not going to make laws against using children to make content. You just have to at least give them some of the money whenever they're an adult. You can spend all the rest. All the rest is yours. It's fucking gross, dude.
California followed with similar protections, and other states including Minnesota and Utah introduced their own legislation addressing children featured in monetized online content. The basic idea behind these laws is simple. If a child is responsible for generating income, that child should legally own a part of it. That sounds obvious today. It wasn't when Ryan built his career. There is another detail.
They should own all the money. It's their fucking money. Also, nowadays, I don't have anything to say for back then, but now, right now in 2026, it's bullshit to have children in any kind of content, in movies or anything, because it's so easy to just use AI. So you know there's some weird shit going on if they're able to just use AI, but they're still wanting children.
Detail that makes Ryan's situation especially unusual. The Kaji family built almost their entire business while living in Texas. Texas had none of those child influencer protections. Even if those newer laws had existed earlier, they would not have applied there. And even if Texas adopted similar legislation tomorrow, it would not be retroactive. The money earned throughout Ryan's childhood would already be beyond reach of those protections. That creates one of the strangest ironies in internet history. Ryan became one of the clearest examples of why child influencer laws were needed. Yet the person who arguably inspired those conversations receives virtually none of their benefits. Legally, there is no public evidence suggesting Ryan's parents violated any laws. That distinction is important. This is not a story about criminal behavior. It is a story about a legal system that failed to keep pace with technology. Hollywood is filled with former child stars who spent years trying to reclaim control over their money, identities, and personal lives after growing up inside industries that viewed them as the primary products. Actors like Macaulay Culkin became famous as children before fighting for financial independence from the adults managing their careers. Mary-Kate Olsen and Ashley Olsen eventually stepped away from acting almost entirely, choosing
man, they've gone completely fucking insane now.
Private lives and different careers after spending their childhoods in front of cameras. Ryan's situation is different in many
now they're into the fashion world, and that shit's demonic.
ways. Unlike those child actors, he did not work for a Hollywood studio. The studio was his family. That makes separating business from personal relationships infinitely more complicated. No outsider can say what Ryan's relationship with his parents is actually like today. No outsider knows how much influence he has over decisions involving his brand. No outsider knows how the money has been.
Like, for example, my grandma was forcing me and my brother to live with our mother because we're not shitty people. We couldn't just kick her out on the streets, but she was fucking insane and on drugs and always brought in her drug friends, and she was a fake lesbian because she was just a whore. And bro, she was actually crazy. She would go through psychotic fits all the time where she just like didn't know what was going on, thinking that people were talking to her through the walls, thinking that there was ghosts in the internet. It's kind of funny looking back on it. I don't live with her now. But like, that was some bullshit that I wish that my grandma didn't push on us. That was very, very, very shitty of her. Love my grandma. She's great. She's probably my favorite real person in the world.
Managed behind the scenes. Those answers belong to Ryan and his family. At the end of the day, it's impossible to know what is actually going on behind the scenes until Ryan becomes a little bit older, though there was a pretty interesting interview that dropped with him around 2 years ago, but he barely ever speaks in it, and it's his parents talking for 90% of the runtime. Ryan will officially be 18 in 4 years, and it's a pretty safe bet that he will be voicing his opinion once he grows up more. And hey, maybe he'll have nothing but good things to say. It's not totally out of the question that his parents will treat him right and give him what he's rightfully owed. But therein lies the problem. Even if he is given the money, will he think it was worth it?
You know what I think is going to happen? I think he's going to end up like Fred, where he's just going to constantly be in things that calls back to his old content. That's all I see from Fred.
The world of entertainment was not a choice for Ryan as a 3-year-old. It was forced upon him by his parents to create an infinite money-making machine. He essentially lost his entire childhood and any potential to make genuine friends, so his parents could make YouTube videos. Will he really think that part of his life was worth sacrificing for a specific dollar amount? For now, all we can do is wait and see.
I don't think he's gonna know any better. Hey, the Free Cash episode, I reacted to that a while ago. But I don't think he's going to know one way or the other. He's probably going to be like, yeah, it was hard, but like, that was my life. I don't really know any other life. So I don't think he's going to have anything to say.
Because it's not a question of if, but when the truth comes out. Speaking of truth coming out, there was a sponsor that tried to get me to lie to you guys. Click the video on screen to learn more. Once again, thank you to Scentbird for sponsoring the video.
Yeah, that was Free Cash. A thing that I think is going to happen with Ryan's world, I don't think he's going to come out and talk about his parents being shitty. I think he's going to come out and talk about a bunch of companies that he worked with being shitty, that were trying to manipulate him and manipulated his parents into manipulating him. I know for a fact that that happened because corporations never don't do that. They always do that shit, man. There's not a single fucking time where they don't.